Hello, my name is Ben Ashton, and this is a testimonial video for Dr. Hanson and her program. Um, our son Atlas has been nonverbal his whole life. He will be 5 in November. We started seeing Dr. Hanson a year ago, and prior to that, we did a lot of occupational therapy, speech therapy with multiple different institutions and multiple, experts. Spent some large sums of money. And really didn't get any results with that. They couldn't figure him out. They had cookie cutter programs for this that works with some children and not with others, and very disappointing outcomes for years of going through these other processes. So luckily we were recommended to Dr. Hanson. We're out of the Houston area, and she's in Atlanta. So my wife and my mother-in-law started traveling. And I was skeptical because at this point, I was losing faith, for lack of a better term. And after the very first visit, there was changes. And I'm thinking, okay, there's something to this. Her approach, brain scans, state-of-the-art equipment, she breaks things down a lot farther and looks at him kind of as on a total level, much wider view of the situation than the previous experience we've had in their evaluations of him. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know, all the ins and outs of her processes, but I know that they're different than anybody else's processes that we've gone to for help with him. And they are yielding major results. I mean, we are at 1 year now of this journey with Dr. Hanson, and it's been major improvements. I mean, beforehand, very little means of communication with Atlas. He was very frustrated, internalizing a lot of things, having multiple day meltdowns, severe meltdowns. We were frustrated and obviously overwhelmed with not really being able to help him, not really knowing where to put our efforts to make, real strides and progress. So what a sigh of relief to finally start seeing some progress with him. And I mean, a year later, I didn't think we would be where we're at. I didn't think it would be possible to be where we're at right now with him. I mean, attitude, obedience, his general happiness, outgoingness. I mean, everything, mobility, all kinds of things are much improved. I mean, drastically improved. It's given me hope that, he's going to be able to live a normal life at some point. And, there was a good period of time where I started to lose faith that, that wasn't going to be the case. So seeing him kind of come into his own, and it's been a real treat. But I think the biggest thing is, the relief that we have of seeing the progress and having something to go off of with him, because it's been majorly impactful to our family life, to his life, our lives. Something as easy as going out to dinner. Anybody that, has a child like Atlas knows, it's hit or miss. Going to a family gathering, going to do anything. A visit to the grocery store could be just a disaster. And he's so well-mannered now. I mean, he's really coming around, and it's been fantastic. Part of this process is doing your homework. And when you're not in Atlanta at her facility, she follows up with you. She's great about asking questions and checking in and answering questions that we have. My wife has been 100% committed to him since this started, and a big part of his, success in part is of, from her dedication to him, and, just sticking to the program, and like literally unwavering, constant 24/7 sticking to the program. So she has a huge part in that as well. But the guidance and the insight that Dr. Hansen has given with the program is the only reason that she has a direction to place her efforts now with this. And I can tell you that because we have years of essentially just beating our heads against the wall, throwing everything at it and see what sticks, and really not coming out with anything meaningful. So there's no doubt, I'm a skeptical person. I was very skeptical of, the medical industry as far as in the capacity to help our son in this particular instance, because there's a lot of unknowns there. And I mean, the human mind is a crazy thing. So where he was at, we had no clue. She has given us some great paths to explore and to work on with him that they just netted great results. This is the best thing that we could have done for our son. There's no doubt about it. I mean, in 1 year time, so he'll be 5 in November. In the last year, he has progressed more than his entire life up to this point. In every facet, every measurable point that we would talk about. It's been huge growth for him. My mother-in-law also, again, that support system of leaving and taking the information and your homework with you that is going to be required to make this successful is obviously in the day-to-day activities, pushing him the way that, we need him to be pushed, and having him experience the things that he needs to experience, literal exercises at times, to just kind of reprogram, his brain and some of his neurological maps. It's very neurologically based, and it just had a major impact. I mean, I am in such a better place mentally. My wife is in a better place mentally. Our son is in a better place mentally, all because of this program. I mean, I'm not one that's going to sit here and, try to hype something up or tell you something is the greatest thing in the world, without real results. And, it's not one thing. Going into this as a parent, I'm looking at it as it's this one thing that we need to fix. It's not one thing. With Atlas, it wasn't, at least. That's what my experience is with. It was chipping away at multiple little things, figuring out multiple little things, and going through and fixing multiple little things, and addressing and working on multiple little things that added up to big things and big changes. So, I mean, it makes more sense. Her facility, state of the art. She has state of the art technology. She's got stuff I never even heard about, and I work in the industry, in the energy industry, petrochemical industry. So I'm aware of a lot of technology. As far as excuse me, as far as her implementing what she has access to resource-wise, explaining to my wife, I mean, when she comes back, my mother-in-law and my wife are, experts on the situation after having a detailed explanation given to them from her, what the processes are, why the processes are, and all that. It's been a ride, and we would be nowhere near where we're at right now without her. There's no doubt. So if you are considering doing this, if you have exhausted all options, you're feeling like you're losing hope, that's exactly where we were. And this was just kind of seemed like another thing to try in an endless line of things to try. And this was the one. I mean, this was absolutely the thing that has yielded 1,000% more results than anything else that we've done. How far these results continue to go after another year, after a year after that, I don't know. But if it's anything like the last year, it's going to be really, really good. I mean, There was a lot of things with him as far as public school and trying to integrate him into public school and where he needed to be in public school. Potty training was going to be one of those things that we just absolutely dreaded. How are we going to make this work? The communication, you don't think about that when your 3-year-old or your 4-year-old, they can understand what you're saying. And Atlas does understand what he's saying, but he couldn't communicate what he needed to say. So it's very simple things as far as what does he want to eat? He's already got he's a very picky eater. So the options are slim, but it was still a chore just to figure out what he wanted to eat. And most of the time that involved him, having to go and get something and show us from the pantry, whether he was allowed to eat it at the time or not. That was a whole other situation. And that could cause some conflict with him, or offering him things and having him be very, very reactive to the thing that we were offering because we just didn't know. Simple yes and no's from him now make the world a difference. His understanding, you can talk to him just like you can talk to anybody else, and he knows what you're saying. So that understanding and, his expression of what he wants, how he's feeling has been insane. It's been absolutely insane. So life at home, easier. Our outlook of the future, much brighter than ever before. His attitude, his general quality of life is much better because of this process. And I'm so happy that we had this option set in front of us. And I'm so glad that my wife, as gung-ho as she is for him, she will run through flaming brick walls like all of us will for her child. And she did. There was no doubt after she did some research on this that this was the next thing that we were going to try out. And we had tried out many, 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 many disappointing things for years. I'm very pleased with the whole process. I know that she is as well. Everyone in our family that is around him, you go to a family event, you got your family that you see a few times a year, maybe 4 or 5 times a year with big gaps in between. They see the differences. It's been fantastic. So first of all, thank you, Dr. Hansen. I know that we have never met in person. I work on the road a lot, and I'm a very busy person. I know you know my wife well and my mother-in-law well, Dawn and Grace. They speak very highly of you. And thank you very much for doing this for our son.